Hey guys, welcome Muskie Road Rules podcast and Patreon. Guys, we appreciate all the subscribers, especially to the podcast and the Patreon page. To subscribe to the Patreon, it's really easy. All you got to do is go to patreon.com, do a search for Muskie Road Rules, and we'll be the only one that comes up. Hit subscribe. Got a couple membership packages there, and 4 days a month, you're going to get a new video coming your way, one every week, and you can watch and see what we're talking about and maybe what we're going over as we're discussing the topics. Tonight's podcast, it's in the evening, the sun's going down. It's literally a nitty-gritty dirt band song. And we're going to be talking to a friend of mine. I just seen him last weekend at the PMTT. Pete Blicharz from over in Three Lakes, Wisconsin. Pete, how we doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. First time with the new format. I kind of like this.
Yeah, no, you get to see my face, which is something I know everyone enjoys, and it makes them feel better about themselves. So That's why I like doing this. But Pete, how's it been going over in you're over in Northeast Wisconsin, Vilas County? How is that going this year?
Actually, I'm kind of the weather has been changing a lot. You know, we've kind of been hit with some different like cold fronts in the last couple of weeks, and then obviously that big hot stretch for the PMTT. That was always really fun to fish in those conditions. At least we had a little bit of wind, which I think definitely helped the bite. But we actually are starting to have like more of a regular year. Last year, the bite didn't progress the way that I thought it was going to, and we didn't really have like a bug hatch and like the bait movement and summer movements like we normally do. So this year's kind of setting up more normal, which is kind of helping us all out in the area here.
Yeah, last week, that freaking heat, man, that was pretty brutal out there. Thank God we had a little bit of wind, and I think every gas station and grocery store in Eagle River and Three Lakes sold out of water.
Nice.
It was absolutely brutal out there. Now, you and your partner, Jared Donner, you guys got a couple fish in the tournament, including one nice one. And were you fishing the Three Lakes chain or the Eagle River chain?
Yeah, Three Lakes chain.
Three Lakes. Now, is that kind of your home deal where you grew up?
Yep. I was born and raised on the Three Lakes chain. Actually caught my first muskie when I was 10 years old on planting ground. Okay. My grandparents have a place on planting ground, and now my sister and her husband own it, so it kind of kept it in the family, which is cool. And I've been fishing it for 26 years now for muskies. It's been kind of crazy. I can't believe it's actually been that long.
Yeah, no, and so it's a neat chain. We fished out there a couple days last when we were there for the tournament. Didn't do that good. We mainly just trolled out there. I don't know if there was many fish caught trolling in the tournament out there or not. But it was, it wasn't, the stuff I'd found out there before just wasn't working for us. And, probably, do you think half the field was there, or you think maybe a little less than half?
It seemed like there was definitely more people on day one there in Three Lakes than there was on day two. I think there was only like 30 boats total on day two. I think there was a little bit more than that on day one. And I didn't see hardly anyone trolling on Three Lakes. I think mostly people were casting, but I also think that, between the Eagle River and Three Lakes chain, I think Three Lakes was a little bit behind Eagle River as far as that, mud flat trolling bite and stuff that was going on there. I think the fish were a little late to the party there in Three Lakes. Yeah,
we didn't see the bugs on Three Lakes near like we seen on Eagle River, and I think that was one of the reasons why I was like, we know we got them over here. I feel like we got a pretty good shot, and that's why we chose to do the Eagle River chain. What so far this spring, what have you seen as like water temps been fairly good, or are you seeing higher temps now than normal? I mean, I know we had that that real hot streak there. What are you seeing for, as being, living there?
Yeah, it's just been a little bit weird this year, at least with the weather coming through. I mean, so the Spring Classic was the weekend before PMTT, and in that, 5 days between the two tournaments, I mean, the water temp jumped like 10 degrees, which we usually don't see, water temp jump that quick. I know the fish probably don't like it and stuff. and I certainly don't like to see it. It makes the fish pretty crabby, and that's definitely what we saw this weekend. They weren't super, super hot, at least the fish we were contacting. We kind of had to work for it and get down in their face with our baits and
Sure.
grind it out. So,
No, I get it. Well, talking about the tournament, you guys got a couple fish. You got one on Saturday and one on Sunday. You were able to get a fish each day.
yep.
The one Saturday you had a nice, was it 45 and a half? You guys
45
got?
and a half. Yep.
Yeah. How'd that fish come?
Well, we contacted a couple fish early, like super tight, after we finally got released from the storms and stuff. And I don't know if like fish, ate and did stuff before, that front pushed through. I'm assuming probably a bunch of them did. So we hit a couple good spots right away, shallow, tight weeds that I had some fish located on. And we did move one really nice fish on blades right away in the morning. That was in that 45 to 46 inch class. And I thought that fish was going to eat. I told Jared, I'm like, oh, she's going to go. I mean, the fish came in hot and she sunk a little bit as I was making my first corner, and I saw her tail power up and I thought she was just going to cut it off, and she just like poof, disappeared. So that was our first contact. And then we saw a couple on electronics, an hour or two later as the morning progressed and the wind started to pick up, which I think helped us a little bit. But the first fish there, that 45 and a half, it was definitely wind related. It was in an area that prior that week I had moved some fish that were holding in a weed bed, and I thought that they kind of pushed out with the wind to that front edge, and there was a nice point that came to this break on that front edge, and I threw a deuce right tight to where the point is, right on the cherry there where she should have been. And I know Jared and I keep talking about it. I don't think I had a rip on it. I was counting it down to the bottom, and I went to make my first rip, and I mean, it was like I was hooked on a crib or something. I couldn't move it. And head shakes and all the good stuff that came along with it, and nice fish to the boat. So
nice. All right.
Yeah.
So did you guys have anything else going on Saturday?
Yeah. And so after we caught that one, I right away was like, okay, wind's pushing into these points, and there were fish active in here earlier in the week, and I had stayed off the water just because I didn't want to burn fish. And I knew there was a ton of tournament guys out there probably burning fish. So really what I actually ended up doing was just driving around at night, actually, after I get the kids to bed and stuff, and I can actually leave the house, and just graphed out where bait fish and bugs were holding in certain areas. And then, trying to figure out which way the wind was going to be pushing and where they were going to be positioned. And some stuff was there that I had graphed, and then Friday things kind of changed, I think, and the fish were just not quite where I thought they were going to be. It took us a little while to get on them. So after we contacted that 45 and a half, looked at several other spots where they were, similar wind pushing into those spots. And Jared, we pull up on a spot, and like Jared's like second cast, lost another one at the boat, like 3 feet from the net. That was like a high 30. So they were doing what they were supposed to, but we were struggling to find spots that kind of matched our pattern, what we had figured out. So we were just, I know every inch of that thing. So it was like, run and gun. I felt like Ty sent it on the chip. I was just burning everywhere and hitting everything I could,
Yeah.
And just trying to replicate. And the hardest part about that is the whole chain doesn't fish the same. So water temperature is different, the structure is different, the water depth in the lakes are different. So like a lot of times if you are figuring something out, on, let's say Big Stone, it may not translate to Medicine and Little Fork and Big Fork. You kind of have to like take each lake as their own and figure out where the fish are in each individual lake.
Sure. Yeah.
With slight variations.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. So on Sunday, what did a lot of stuff change for you guys, or was it pretty much the same?
It did change a little bit. It seemed like those fish weren't quite as tight to structure as they were the day before, at least the ones we were seeing and contacting. It seemed like they were pushed out a little bit, and I don't know if that was just pressure, from the fishermen, and a lot of the same spots we were hitting, we saw other people hitting too. It's just we were trying to attack them differently. And also, trying to get our baits a lot lower in the water column, so I was throwing a reg Dusa and I end up putting, an ounce, I forget what the big, I think it's an ounce and a half,
The
weight on it.
Yep.
And just slowing our cadences down and like just working together as a team, because Jared throws rubber a little different than I do. For a while, he was throwing a tube, then switching back to Deuce. I threw Mag Dog for a while. Then I was counting blades down, and just trying to just hit different areas of the water column and change it up all the time and not making the same cast all the time, as a partner, working together as a team.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So what did the fish on Sunday come on?
That was on a Deuce as well.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So you were pretty much, I know both you guys like throwing rubber and stuff, so that was pretty much it. But well, that's cool. You got fish both days, which is not something a lot of guys could say in the tournament. And, there was a lot of fish caught, 83 fish caught total. And, for the 2 days. We were just happy to get one on Sunday. Everything that we had done pre-fishing was working because we watched a lot of people catch fish. It just wasn't coming to us, which is super frustrating. But the fish on Eagle River, it seemed like were really high in the water column. If you were trolling, the fish, we got a 41 3/4 on a 7-inch slammer with 15 feet of line out.
Oh wow!
So a fish up high with wire, but still it wasn't going down that deep.
Sure.
And we'd caught fish all week doing it with various rods, various baits. I mean, I really don't know if we caught a fish on the same bait. I mean, they were just, it seemed like as long as it was in that 4 to 6 feet down, you had a shot at something. So I don't think bait made that much a difference.
Yeah. Were most guys on Eagle River trolling that you saw, or were there kind of both?
Both. I mean, there was probably a good mix. Of course, Sunday, I think there was more trollers, guys just, abandoning what was working or what they thought would work and just trying to cover water. We caught our fish on Cranberry, and I think there was several fish caught there, but I think there were several fish caught throughout the chain. Chris and Richie, they got their fish trolling spinner baits up in the super, super slop. Several fish caught trolling breaks, and then several fish just open water as well. And then, the team that won it, Heckle and Roast, they were casting just, we just seen them cast and weed edge. I think we seen them catch the last fish they got, they were near us, I'm pretty sure. And they were just fishing. It looked like windblown stuff is kind of all they were doing was fishing a bunch of windblown. Not sure what they were throwing or anything, but it looked tight. So I'm assuming some blades and maybe jerkbait style stuff. But, I know I asked you to bring some baits there. What kind of stuff did you bring me that you like to throw up there in the early season?
Well, I mean, it's no real secret, and I've even talked about this in seminars and stuff. Like, if I'm struggling anywhere, and it's just a confidence bait for me, it's just a regular perch Medusa. I mean, this thing it's been shredded pretty good.
Hold it up a little higher, Pete.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Yep, just a regular white belly perch Medusa. I think they call it their hot perch color. This one's pretty worn out. It's been eaten quite a few times, but it's versatile. Like I said, we're able to get it, if I want to rip it hard and fast, it does that for me. And then if I want to get it down lower, that's kind of what we were doing with it. And even as I travel, it's just a confidence bait for me. So when we go to Minnesota, I mean, I'm probably going to end up throwing this thing. The fish seem to eat it just about everywhere we go. So that's the regular size. We're also throwing a mid-size with like a 3/4 ounce on the front of it to get it down.
So those, so your Medusas and stuff there, you're talking about counting them down. Kind of talk about that process for people that maybe are new into soft plastics or haven't really done any of the countdown stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so it seems like, let's see here. I'm trying to think of how much I was actually. I don't necessarily want to land it right on the bottom because then, in the chain you get hung up on, leaves and things that are blown in the water and sticks and all that good
Sunglasses,
stuff. Sunglasses. I know.
underwear.
Lajewski caught a chair, a
Hmm.
lawn chair this weekend out there. I know that. So that's kind of funny. But it's like, I want to say it's like a 2.5 feet a second or something with that weight on it, I think. Something like that. So if we're, in 15 feet of water or whatever, I'm just trying to get in that lower third. So I'm basically, counting 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000 and bring it back. And that seemed to hit my spot where I wanted it to be.
I prefer Mississippi's.
Mississippi's okay. We can do Mississippi's next time. I'll try that. Maybe I'll catch more fish doing that.
You definitely will. But no,
then just slowing the cadence down basically to keep it down there. I mean, if you're just ripping it, like crazy, it's obviously going to rise in the water column pretty quick. But it seems like when you're actually slowing your cadence down and every once in a while giving it like a double pop, instead of a long, hard rip, throw in a double pop and a little bit longer pause once in a while, that seems to trigger them. And then also, if you're keeping it low in the water column like that, when you're doing your up rips to the boat, a lot of times they hit right, on that up rip when you're starting to bring it up to the boat for your figure eight. So just trying to mix it up and trying to just trigger fish the whole time, essentially,
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And those baits with those flat bottoms on them like that, you definitely have to keep that in mind, the consideration when you're working it in, that it will rise up as you're pulling it. So to keep it down in a zone, you're going to have to kind of have that in the back of your mind.
Yep. And something else I do with my like my reg deuces too is I upgrade to 7/0 wide gaps on these instead of running the stock hooks. Sometimes if I get hung up with the tails too much in the back with the 7/0, I'll change that back to like the stock hook. To me the front hook is more important because they seem to headhunt these a lot. So I like that bigger wide gap in the front of those. It really seems to do a good job of hooking up for me.
Yeah, no, sure. That's definitely, I was noticing that there. I thought it looked like you had upsized the hooks a little bit on that guy.
Yep. The stock hooks on a mid, I don't mind. I haven't really ever had any issue with that, although, Jared did lose a fish on one. And
yeah.
So immediately, of course, he upsized the hook on the front, and then, it helped hopefully on Sunday with that other fish. But yeah.
Sure. No, I get it.
And then for blades, I was throwing, this is a Hunzi tail. I can't remember if this is a 7/8. I think it's a 7/8 with a brass banger in the back. This is kind of my go-to color up here for most of the stained water. It's just kind of, I like a darker body with a little bit of flash in there. And then painted blades, something I've kind of been experimenting with over the last few years and trying to been paying more attention to it is if on a cloudy day, it seems like they like the painted blades. Otherwise, I like to go with like a brass and nickel combination on a sunny day, just for a little more flash. I think that seems to hold some water, that argument. But yeah, that Hunzi tail 7/8's been really good. And then if I'm trying to be a little more subtle, like, if I would have been an Eagle River chain, I probably wouldn't have been throwing a banger. Honestly, I probably would have been just throwing double nines. That's kind of the next bite progression for us up here, is switching to big blades here really quick. And I did catch a fish with a client on nines this week on a different body of water. But again, same type of color. I forget. I think this is
Black Fire.
Black Fire. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
So
pretty standard.
So you're not doing like super small stuff like years ago, Eagle River area. It was a lot of like Rizzo tails and like little small mepses and stuff like that. You're more breaking out into the bigger stuff already and found that it's been working.
Yeah. And I think in particular 3 Lakes chain fish tend to like a larger bait. Eagle River chain, I don't think you could ever go wrong throwing a Rizzo tail all year long from, opener to close. I think you could catch fish on them and they like them there. But it seems like 3 Lakes, they like a little bit bigger blade and stuff. I mean, I have caught fish on Eagle River on 9s and 10s and stuff like that. And I think sometimes it just depends on what everyone else is throwing. I try to, pay attention to what other people are throwing and do things a little bit different. If you can find that niche, that could be the difference in a tournament. If you've got something like that, working for you, that everyone else is throwing small and you're throwing something different. So
sure. What anything else you've been using up there?
Um, Not a whole lot different than that. Top water's been doing good for me too. And again, because most people are throwing fat bastards and stuff like that. I like my pacemakers; those have been good for me. And then also downsizing and going to Doctor Evil has actually put a few fish in the boat for me this year with clients.
Yeah, yeah, I seen
So
that last year myself. Even up
yeah.
here at Lake of the Woods, going to like a Doctor Evil and it,
Mhm.
producing and doing well. As long as it's making some, some pop pop noises out there. Do you do much with walk the dog?
Not for top water, really. I think glide baits in general just hook like garbage, so it's kind of the last thing I want to do is throw it on top too. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I generally am staying with a prop style top water. I have in the last few years gotten better at mixing in glide baits, and I've actually, that's one thing I it was a weak point for me a few years ago, and I've gotten better and better at throwing glide baits and using them in situations where a glide bait is needed, cold fronts and things like that. If the fish are crabby, it's sometimes if you're just trying to move a fish, that's about the only thing that'll move a fish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's been
So
good
what?
for me.
No, what about structure up there? I mean, you're lucky to fish in an area that's got just a plethora of lakes and structure and everything to look at. Let's talk about that. I mean, guys that are coming up there, let's say they're coming up to fish this summer. What, structure wise, how's it laying out this year? Are the weeds in most of the lakes really good? Or do you think that you're a little behind, or what's the status there?
I think the weed growth is excellent for the most part. Um, that kind of exploded. Even I was even surprised coming into the spring classic a couple weeks ago how much the weeds had come up. And at least for Eagle River and Three Lakes chain, it was really clear for a while, and then we got some rain and stuff, and it dirtied back up. I did not like how clear the system was for the week or two leading up to Spring Classic, and now it's finally getting to like a normal chain color. It really threw me for a loop because I'd never seen the chain like clear before. So like my normal bait choices and colors just looked terrible, and my
Mm-hmm.
confidence baits just looked terrible. So I had to just take a step back and I threw more like black and nickel and just more natural colors, and that seemed to be working better. Um, the let's see, you know the bite is getting better as far as where it should be, and things were changing really rapidly. Those rock structures and stuff adjacent to mud flats where those fish were collecting the last week are going to start to turn on. They seem to slide to that first, and the thermoclines and stuff are setting up, so they seem to slide to that first adjacent structure. Which in the Three Lakes chain, there's more rock structure than Eagle River chain, and same thing with Sugar Camp chain. There's a little bit more mid lake structure that they seem to collect on and they seem to move to. Um, so that's something to think about if you're getting out there looking at those mid lake structures. A lot of people ignore them, and they don't pay much attention to them. But especially in the summer, I tend to spend quite a bit of time out there, and then um, at night too. That's kind of I don't really like fishing weeds at night. I just hate picking weeds off my bait at night. So it's most of the
Sure.
time I'm fishing rock structure.
So the rock structure and stuff that you're talking about, the with the the mapping software, the map chips and stuff that we have now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not talking a lot of the rock structure you're talking about probably isn't visible with the eye.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, deeper stuff. Um, so for example, if you're fishing a lake and let's say you've got a rock, will you fish structure that tops out at like, let's say the lake has a depth of 35 feet, 40 feet, and there's rock structure in there that tops out at 20. Will you fish that kind of stuff?
If the bait's there, definitely, and in the fall for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if it's extending, off of a main lake point or something like that, and it just happens to be the deepest,
Mm-hmm.
the deepest bottom transit, the deepest hard bottom before the soft. That
Yeah.
bottom transition definitely holds fish. Um,
Okay.
yep, and that's another thing too is the bottom transition. So Yeah, there you go.
I went very blurry for people that can't see
Mhm.
this, so I'm trying to make my camera. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, we like it blurry. You look so much better." Jesus, is this Brad Pitt? And they're like, "No, oh, that's a little." Now you're seeing me the way I see everything without my glasses on, and yeah, so I look perfect. So there you can see I do have fingerprints. Come
Yeah,
on, come on, come on. Oh, there we go.
yeah.
Um,
And for those lakes that don't have like a lot of points and a lot of, humps and reefs and things like that, that bottom transition is something to key on. If those fish aren't, if you're checking your shallow stuff and you think they might be out, it seems to be that bottom transition that, the walleyes and stuff like that are collecting on there, that muskies will frequent that as well. Even if they're not feeding there, they might be resting there to then move up and feed or whatever. So throughout the day, just checking those areas and seeing what's going on out there, it's worth the time to do it.
and you're talking about like the hard to soft bottom stuff.
Correct.
Um,
Yep.
and then seeing that on your graph, I mean, with the especially with the new graphs and stuff, you can see it on a regular 2D as well. But
Yeah.
with side imaging, you can really see that plain as
100%.
day on your graph, and I think that's something that really makes a difference, guys. If you're out there fishing and you really kind of pay attention as you're just idling through spots, and you can easily see your hard bottom is going to be really bright and vibrant color. And then once you get into the mud, you'll start seeing it darken up some, and you'll see those lines going through the water. I know on the Eagle River chain, that's always been a big thing for us, is to look for those transition areas.
100%. And I haven't quite figured it out yet, but with auto chart on hummingbirds, I think that there's a way to actually, when you're auto charting, put that bottom composition right on the map, so you can actually like lay out an area, and you can actually see where the edges are when you're actually mapping it. As far as I understand, I'm messing with it. I've just become aware of it, and I'm starting to mess with it a little bit. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Well, on mine, of course, there's problems. That my auto chart, this is weird. It just happened the other day. I've got a zero line card,
Uh-huh.
but I don't think it knows it's in there. It was working fine over the weekend at Eagle River, but here at Lake of the Woods on Monday Tuesday it was okay, but on Wednesday we were out and it said auto chart is full. Please insert, auto, zero line card. Well, it's already in there. It had been there the whole time, and I don't know. I don't know. I kept looking through the functions. I've done some little research online, and I've yet to find out what I need to do to make it recognize that card.
It's
So
weird. I mean, I popped mine in and it came up right away and like moved all my auto charting off of my graph onto the chip, and it's all stored there now. I don't know. It recognized it right away when I plugged mine in.
yeah, normally you just plug it in. You just click. Do you want to move this data to the card? And you just say yes.
Yeah.
And mine's like no. So I don't know what it is. I mean, it was working fine, and then now it's not. So I don't know if I got a glitch, and I did the whole Nintendo thing. I let it out of the slot, blew in it, stuck it back in, and it still wasn't. I don't know. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly what's going on there.
Man, youth electronics, it's something else.
Oh, I mean, I like them. They don't like
you.
me. No, yeah. Sometimes me and they. Oh God, we have a very tumultuous relationship. But what did in your area there? Do you fish much clear water? Or are you mainly doing the dirty stuff?
I fish some clear water. Conditions have to be right and all that good stuff. Otherwise, if I'm gonna spend any amount of time on clear water, it's generally at night.
Okay.
Yep. So that actually because I have kids and when I actually do have time to myself, I'm supposed to be spending it with the kids, so I got to wait to put them to bed and then I can go fishing. So I do quite a bit of night fishing.
I get that. How has the night fishing been so far? Or has anybody been out much?
I saw Clay stuck a couple 3 nights ago. One was a really nice one. I haven't talked to him yet to see how big it was. And then I know there's another guide up in the Eagle River, Tom's Coling. He got a couple really nice ones last week. So it's been good, I guess. I've yet to be out. I'm gonna hopefully get out here with this moon phase probably
Yeah.
tomorrow. Yep.
Okay. At night, does the moon affect what you do much, or you whatever I can get out and do?
I mean, whatever I can get out and do, but I really dislike it when the moon is up. I haven't really seen the best action when the moon is up. So if it's dark, I have a lot better luck with that. Yeah.
Yeah. We used to on Mille Lacs, it was all, we kept trying to come up with, oh, if the moon's out, they don't bite. And then all of a sudden somebody would have a really good night with the moon out. We're like, oh, well, we got to do this. And,
yeah.
the one thing I will say, it definitely seemed when we had a real bright moon, painted blades did really good. That's when the pink got started.
Sure.
That's when we started really smoking them on pink blades. And so I still to this day on a if I am out after dark, I always go with if it's a bright moon, I always go with painted blades. And I guess it's just a confidence thing for me. But we always did good on the nickel, the shiny whatever blades during the dark nights, and then on the brighter nights it was the painted stuff.
Sure.
But
do you night fish up there at all?
I haven't. I want to do some. I'm still, I did so much night fishing that it's nice to see them.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's what they look like. And because night fishing.
Go ahead.
No, night fishing is, it's comfortable. It's nice out as long as the bugs aren't, hairy carrying you.
Sure.
But the other thing about night is you just don't see anything, right? I mean, all you get is the headlamp at the boat and the fish shaking around. You don't get to see the follows and stuff like that. I mean, you can now with forward-facing sonar, you'll be able to see it. But yeah, but I mean, I always enjoyed it and, caught a lot of fish. And anybody says that, well, they don't bite after midnight. Well, shit, do you fish after midnight? Because I've caught them probably every hour of the night, pre-dawn, all of that. So it just depends on. It's just like day fishing. There's bite windows, and there's. We always found that like the super early pre-dawn, like the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. stuff was always good in like the hottest months. So like if you had a real hot August or even July when it got really hot, that was like the coolest water of the day. And it definitely seemed that those fish were a little more fired up then than any other point of the day.
Did you run many trips at night when you were doing that whole thing, or was it mostly just fishing, with buddies and stuff?
We did. No, I almost exclusively night fished for 2 years with clients, and yeah, I mean we, not many accidents. Had a few. Had one. Had one when the cowgirl came in. The guy got hit in the head with the bait. His partner didn't believe he hit him, and when his partner reeled in his cowgirl, there was his headlamp hanging on the back hook. So we found it.
Oh my gosh.
So, but no, it was pretty good. No, I've ran shit. I don't know how many trips after dark, hundreds.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I've never ran any after dark, and I'm going to start doing a couple this summer. And I'm a little bit nervous about it because you're in a boat with somebody that you never fished with before, or maybe just a couple times before.
Wear a helmet.
Wear a helmet. Safety glasses. I'm definitely doing that. I usually do that at night, anyways.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Anyway, full hockey pads. Football, no matter whatever sports you're in, just no lacrosse. No, you'll be and it's fine. It's fine. You'll be good. My God, my arm is red. Jesus, look at that. With the sun and stuff we've been getting. So how's the summer shaping up there? Give me a good little forecast here.
Boy, from what I've seen in the last few weeks, if it keeps going like this, we should have a really good year here. I haven't really looked at the super extended forecast to really see what everything's going to do. But the system seems to be setting up like normal. So, I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be really good.
How any new baits or something you're looking forward to try this summer, or anything new tactics?
Well, I can't say too much about it, but Hunsey Tail has some prototypes he's having us guys up here test for him, and they've been doing really good for us. So keep an eye out for those in show season. Little bit different than what he's normally been doing, but they've been catching fish for us. So excited about that. I'm also excited about that Boss Shad rubber bait that they just came out with this year.
I haven't seen that.
It's like it looks like a hybrid between a Medusa and a tube almost. It has like a harder a solid front end and like the tube on the back.
That's the hybrid. Those things have been around for a while.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. That
Okay.
A guy by the name Rob Carr is the one who made that.
Okay.
And that bait I've had those for a long time. They're very heavy. I mean, they'll definitely get down. St. Clair, I caught some 50-inch fish on St. Clair on them.
Sure.
And they have them it's the interchangeable tails and everything with them. But the hybrids, they're pretty interesting. They're a bait that if you're fishing, definitely you're wanting to fish deeper structure and get it down. They will get down there. They're very, very tough to fish in shallow water because they do dive so hard.
Okay.
But they will, if you're fishing like edges and stuff, that's a bait. They have a nice little glide to them, not side to side, but they glide really nice through the water. You can put a blade out the back as well, and you can put tails out the back. I experimented with a bunch of stuff on those, but the hybrids. I forgot that Boss Shad even took those over.
Yeah, I've never. I guess I'm out of the loop. I've never even seen those before until I was looking at TRO the other day, and I'm like, oh, these look new.
Yeah.
And then I saw McMahon just posted a picture of a fish with one, and I'm like, that's what that is.
Yeah. You can. They were made. Rob was out of Pennsylvania. Some Pennsylvania, Ohio guys had them. Some of the St. Clair stuff had them. But they're really nice. They're really nice baits. Good hookups. They're fat. I don't know if he's making both sizes or not. He makes a big one and then kind of a regular Medusa sized one. Is what they had. And he actually had a small one at one point. I don't know if he still has the small one or not. But they look really, really good in the water. And that's something. So the Hunsey stuff, is it going to be another bladed bait?
It is, but it's just a different variation. Kyle told me not to say too much about it, so trying to keep it secret.
I'm going to text him and I'm going to say, what the fuck? And say, hello, I'm on Lake of the Woods. I would love to have some of those. I don't even know what they are.
Yeah.
But it would be nice. Don't be a greedy bastard.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. And Pete, you do some guiding up there. How can somebody get a hold of you if they want to go fishing?
I'm on Facebook, Pete Blicharz Guide Service, Instagram. Easiest way is probably just to text or call me. 715-617-4051. I'm kind of booked. Let's see. I have a little bit of availability the second week of July and second week of August. Some of my September's open. First week's taken. So I do have some availability. Getting into the fall, a lot of my October dates are still open. So give me a call or get a hold of me and get out and do some fishing. Yeah,
and guys, this guy knows what he's doing up there. Vilas County. He'll go out. He'll be really nice to you. He won't yell. It'll be good. You'll see some fish and get on some stuff out there. So, well, Pete, hey, it was a pleasure talking to you tonight, even though we had some minor technical difficulties. We got her up and running. I do appreciate it. So you take care, man, and actually just hang on for me just for a little bit, okay?